was thinking today, when I watch something, I'll multi-screen like the majority of society, but sometimes when that TV show is on, someone will say a sentence and my ears will like prick up and I'll go, oh, what was that? I've got to rewind that. I've got to hear that again. And usually it'll be just one sentence across a whole show that I'm sort of half watching that I have to rewind and hear that sentence again. And I'm not even listening, but some part of my brain is caught by it. I kind of feel like that's how a whole hour of a show should be written with those sentences one after the other. Maybe of course not an entire show, because you need some lulls, you need a bit of rhythm, you need boring bits and good bits to kind of build a world and also not completely be smart, funny, profound in every single sentence. But that's how you write. Like with The Sopranos, when I was watching it, talked about The Sopranos before, but I can't multi-screen watching The Sopranos. It forces me to watch, and that's because it's actually good. And I kind of feel like, no, we don't have ADHD. We don't have, our attention spans aren't shrinking. It's just that stories are getting worse. And I kind of feel like, yeah, as soon as a culture's force-fed shitty stories with message stories, and the art doesn't come first, it comes second to some sort of politics or message, the brain's just going to switch off. And so that's why we've all got ADHD in inverted commas, because it's actually not true. We're just being fed shit stories, and it's all poison. I've always felt like I'll read so many books, and there's no in between. There's no average book. They either hurt my head or they're really good, and the ones that are really good, probably 2%. And of course it's subjective, and of course that's different for everyone, what that 2% of goodness is and what those 98% books of poison are. But yeah, it's funny. I just felt that was a funny phenomenon, that my brain is actually actively listening while I'm not even really concentrating, and will pick up on something that's actually really good. Like just a single sentence that makes me go, I have to rewind it. I sort of feel like that's how I try to write, but trying to write like that actually hurts my head. Trying to come up with a single sentence that's actually impactful, I have to write so much shit, and I feel like black smoke's just pouring off my head when I'm writing in the morning for a few hours, just trying to come up with that single sentence. Then I'll come up with enough of those sentences over a few days or a week or a few years even, and then I'll try to work out which of those sentences kind of belong together. And so, yeah, that's how I try to write like that. And of course I write a lot of shit, and of course I publish a lot of stuff too that's actually pretty crap. But yeah, I just noticed that the other day, that my brain is actually engaging with something even if I don't think I am. Yeah, I remember a long time ago, people used to say back in the early 2000s, oh, we're going through a golden age of TV right now. It's this golden age of streaming, and I was like, and I was much younger, so I was late 20s, early 30s, and I totally just took it for granted. I just assumed, there's a lot of good stuff around. I've seen a lot of classics that equal some of this, but I didn't realize at the time how lucky I was, and how there was all this really excellent stuff. And I was listening to Nick Pizzolatto talk on his podcast the other day, and he was talking about how a lot of networks and streamers will follow trends. Oh, there's a good Western. Let's follow that. We'll make heaps more Westerns because that one's really popular. And he was saying something like, no, there's no such thing as a trend. Someone made something good, and then everyone just copied the genre in which that good thing was made. And so I kind of, I love that idea of, no, it's not about the costume that a story wears or the costume that an idea wears. It's just being good or not. I love how it comes down to just be good. And that's not really a thing you can say these days. You're not allowed to, because art's subjective. You can get away with publishing a lot of shit because you can just say, oh, it's subjective. Oh, it's 20 years, it's 100 years ahead of its time. But the heart knows when something's good. It really does. Like sometimes I used to think, don't follow the crowd knows nothing. But the inverse is true as well. Sometimes I think when something's popular, it's popular for a reason. And so, yeah, it's a funny balance between being kind of contrarian but also populist at the same time. It's a strange, weird balance that I'm always intrigued by when it comes to creativity. And on this, I remember there was a famous soccer player, Harry Kewell from Australia. We grew up he was about maybe a year or two younger than me, but he became one of the biggest players for Australia to ever play in the English Premier League, and he played for Liverpool, and he did really well, but he had a lot of injuries. But he learned to play because we were fed by a very small TV channel at the time, SBS. We were fed highlights of the English Premier League, and he used to watch them in the late 80s and early 90s and just assumed that's how they played all the time. They played like a highlight reel. The entire match, a highlight reel. So he thought that's how you're supposed to play for a full match, like a highlight. so that's, I kind of always feel like that's why he was so good, and I kind of feel like that's what makes a story good as well. When you write a whole story like it's a highlight reel, no fat or very little fat. I know a little bit of fat helps as well, but I feel like that's the difference between a story that can kind of just hurts your brain or elevates your heart. They're the only two stories that exist. Stories that hurt your brain or elevate your heart, and there's very few that elevate my heart. And yeah, a lot of the stories that you're fed in high school or at uni, none of them were good or made me feel anything, except for the stuff in primary school, like the Narnia stuff. Even then I struggled with them a little bit, but I still really liked them. And then as soon as primary school finished, the stuff that was supposedly important to read and study was boring. Then university, I did a major in English or some shit, and I hardly read any of the books. I was supposed to read a book a week. At the time I thought, how do you read a book a week? No one reads a book a week. But now that's what I do. I read a book every few days. When I go on my binge reading moments, like over months, I'll read one every few days. But at the time, secondary school, university, all of them were so boring. And then I stumbling across stuff in my 30s that finally there were writers out there that weren't being taught or weren't being pushed at universities. And then it was like, this is the real shit. And a lot of those were American writers from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and rarely anything modern or new. I kind of feel like there was kind of like I hate to use the word, but punk ethic in a lot of 70s US writing, and even the 40s with Henry Miller and all that sort of stuff. It woke me up. There'd be so many lines in their books where you go, oh my God, this is fucking great. this is amazing. This is not even I'm not reading a book, I'm having an experience. But anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I really love the idea of just write something good. It's got nothing to do with our attention spans, and sure, maybe a little bit, but hardly at all. It's because we're being fed bullshit, and that's what's being promoted, and there's nothing good. So yeah, make something good. Or maybe the better way to look at it is don't make something good, or don't be shit. that's. I'm not saying to you. That's how I think about my stuff. Usually, I'm just like, just Darby, just don't be shit. That's it.